Hi there, it is Jo from Minerva, and today we're here to do a little sew along of New Look 6217. It is one of my most used patterns, and today we're going to make view D, which are the trousers. I've been using this trouser pattern to do lots of my trouser fitting videos. It's a great pattern if you've not made trousers before but you want to move on from making the sort of elasticated kind that don't need too much fitting. These trousers allow you to do some fitting without getting too bogged down with pockets and fly and waistband and pockets and all of the other things that then need to be adjusted if you adjust your trousers. So these ones have a front and a back and a side zip, and they have a binding on the inside, which I'm going to show you how to put on today. But really you can concentrate on the fit of these trousers and really trying to understand why you want to make trousers, what you might need to change in trousers, and a little bit about your body shape. Today I am wearing New Look 6598. I'm not sure if it's still available. It's a blouse pattern with a sort of curled over pointed collar. You can hardly see the collar for the fabric. I've made an elasticated cuff on it, and I've made this in Minerva's exclusive viscose linen. So it's got a linen feel, and it's got quite a nice drape for a sleeve, and it's not too stiff and it doesn't crease very much. This one is called Rainbow Harvest. Everything that I use today will be listed and tagged below. Let's take a look at today's fabric. So I'm going to use a linen cotton. It's a textured linen, so you will get that sort of linen texture. This one's been pre-washed and it will just sort of fray up a little bit on a pre-wash, so you'll need to be deciding how you're going to finish your edges. This one is called Olive, but it's actually quite a bright green. That's near the light, that's further away, and I'm thinking it's going to work really well with this blouse, which is why I chose this blouse to wear today. The fabric is 55% linen and 45% cotton. I've pre-washed this one so it still keeps that linen texture. And it comes in a whopping 32 different colours. And I think if you can make a pair of solid coloured trousers, then you can bring into play from your wardrobe all of your different styles of tops. Because these are fitted trousers, you can wear this top. You can wear a top that is either tucked in for a slimline shape, you can wear a swing top, you can wear a tunic top because the legs are very fitted at the bottom of the trousers, you can wear a crop top, you can wear a sweater, a turtleneck jumper. So I think if you can get a pair of fitted trousers under your belt, then you will open up lots of different options in your wardrobe. So I'm going to take you through the steps. They're not difficult. You need to be able to make darts, put in an invisible zip and add a bias around the waist. First of all, I'm going to go and cut out. It's really simple. There's 2 front pieces, 2 back pieces, and I'm going to mark the darts. Stage 1 is to stay stitch around the waistline, and that's quite important because we've not got a waistband going on here, so we don't want the waist to stretch out. The stay stitch will hold the fabric weave together, so make sure you put your sewing machine on a small stitch length. So I'm going to use stitch length 2 for this because I really want to firm up the edge of that waistband. If you think you're going to be putting the waistband under a little bit of pressure, you can also put around there a little piece of it's called form band. It's like a little piece of interfacing and it's got the stay stitching line in it, and that will just give you a little bit more strength. It really does depend on which fabric you choose. I've overlocked my fabric just because I'm handling it a lot in a video, so that would suffice as some stay stitching, but just because I've got quite an open weave, I'm going to put a row of stay stitching, that 2mm that I talked about before, along the top of the trousers. That's really stabilised the top. It's not moving at all. I'm going to do that on every single piece. After you've done that, you're then going to add the darts, and it's a good idea at this point to add your darts using a really long stitch length so that you can try your trousers on and then you can pull them out if you need to, or you can sew over them with a smaller stitch length afterwards. If you just tack them and then you try fitted trousers on, if you think of every little dart just opening up by 1mm, very soon you'll lose sort of half a centimetre or a centimetre just through your darts. So sew your darts with a long stitch attacking machine based, and that will give you a little bit more strength for when you try them on. Next we're going to put the darts in, so we're going to bring up the lines and pin in place. Now this is just really a guide. You're going to have to find out where you need your darts. You might want to make them a little bit smaller, you might want to let them in or out, you might even want to move them from side to side, but you will have found that out hopefully when you made your toile and you did all of your fitting. Today I really am just sewing up my trouser block that I made from my own fitting toile. I've put those pins on the wrong side. I want to sew from the widest part down to the narrowest part. Start at the top, back tack, sew down and come off here in a straight line. Try not to scoop in or wobble out. Try and keep your line as straight as you can. If you want some more help sewing darts, then you can find more out in this video here, and then we're going to press them out once we've sewn them. We've got one to make in each side of our trousers. Next you're going to sew the inseam, the outseam and the crotch, so that will put your trousers together. It comes together really quickly, and at this point it's a good idea to turn them inside out and try them on. So you want to just see that you've definitely got the fitted trouser look, so it's fitting across. If you need to nip in a little bit you can. If you need to just let them out a little bit using the 1.5 seam allowance you can. If you need to make much more changes, then really you could have possibly had a go at making a toile, because if you really needed to add some fabric then you can't do that right now. So if you want to go back to my fitting tutorials, you'll find out how to change the hips and the waist, the crotch and the leg fitting. With right sides together, put a front and a back together, and this is where some people make a quick error. When they're making trousers, they put the wrong ones together. So you need to have a front piece with the right side touching the right side of the back piece, and we're going to sew up the inseam. Hopefully you will have tested all of your crotch point and all of your leg fitting before you make your final trousers. It's a good idea now, while you can get at it, to make sure you press out your inseam, because you can't get at it afterwards, especially if you've not got a sleeve board. Okay, now we're going to join up with right sides together around the centre crotch seam, and again we're looking for this to be the right way round, so we're looking for the back one with the dart on to match the back one, and this time the front one to the front one. Match up the crotch seam and pin out to the waist, and there are notches here for you to match up. Next we're going to do the out seams. So with right sides together, pin together your out seam matching the hip notch. I've got a little kick shape at the bottom because I'm putting a slit at the bottom of my trousers. So whatever hem finish you're doing, you might need to make a slight adjustment to the hem of your trousers. Once you've sewn this out seam, you then need to try the trousers on, and at this point you can change either the hip seam, the leg seams, the thighs, or you might want to adjust the darts. I've only sewn my darts with a long stitch length, so they're sort of look good and they're nicely pressed, but they're only temporary at the moment, so when I try it on I'll know whether I need to adjust those. Don't forget these trousers have a side zip, so you might want to leave a little bit of space below your zip point depending on which style zip you're putting in. If you're putting in an invisible zip, you need a little bit of handling room below. If you're putting in a lap zip, you can sew right up to the zip line. It's time to try on the trousers. Okay, I'm all tried on. I took a little bit more out of the back darts, so I made those a little deeper. I actually found for my body shape, because I've got quite a narrow waist compared to my hip ratio, that 2 little darts in the front was perfect. Try and avoid changing the centre front seam. I mean, you can take a tiny little bit off there if it makes a difference, but don't take a big wedge out, otherwise you'll knock the grain of your trouser leg. Next up, we're going to put an invisible zip in the side. If you need a little bit more help with putting in an invisible zip, or you want me to show you a little bit more slowly, then you can check out this video here where you get it broken down into smaller stages. You can, if you like, use a lapped zip on this side seam, so there you will be changing the seam allowance a little bit when you're putting the zip in, and you can check that out too. So there is a lapped zip tutorial. You can choose which method you want, and you'll obviously be making sure that which method you choose will still allow you to get the hip fit. Put your zip with the closed invisible side facing the right side of your fabric and pin in place. Get your first pin in to get the position, and then undo the zip and pin the rest of the zipper tape. You can always take 2 passes here, so you can do 1 pass under the machine just to attach the zip in position, and then you can do a second pass which gets really close to the invisible zip. You can try a zipper foot, or you can use an invisible zipper foot. When my fabric folds back, the zipper teeth are really close to the edge. I did 2 passes, 1 to attach it and 1 to go a little bit slower and get a little bit closer. You can see my first row and my second row. Now I'm going to zip up the zipper and attach the other side. So with the fabric again, right side, the right side of the zipper, get the position right first. Undo the zip and pin in place. I want to be getting back down to about the same position that I got to before. I'm not trying to go around the zipper. I'm going to deal with that in the second part. So I've got both sides attached. You can see how close I got on the 1 pass and how close I got on the second pass. So it just shows you can get really, really close once you haven't got any pins involved. And just test that your zips up and you haven't gone so close that you're catching the fabric in the teeth. Make sure you keep your work pretty tidy here. If you've got loose threads, they'll get caught in your zip teeth. At the bottom, you're going to keep the zip tails out of the way and pin the seam below the zip together, and you're looking for joining it back into your stitch line of your trousers, and you need that to be smooth there, all the way up to your last line of stitching at the bottom of your teeth. So in my case here, keep the zip ahead the other end so you've not got it down here. This bit is out of the way, the tails are up out of the way, and you're going to stitch from the seam line along and join in by 2 stitches or 1 stitch to the bottom of your zip. You can give that a little bit of a press and then continue to press the outseam of your trousers. To finish the waist, we're going to put the binding around the inside. There is also the option to add a waistband on here, but you'll need a few little drafting skills, but you can check that out in another video. So you can check out Izzy's one about how to draft a waistband. You could add this to these trousers, or I have one about how to apply waistbands if you're not sure how waistbands go together on an item. You can check this one out here. You can use lots of different products for stabilising the waistband of these trousers. They sit just below the natural waist, but you want to make sure that this top isn't going to stretch out. We can't just fold it down, it wouldn't be strong enough. So I'm using a twill tape. It's really strong. The weave of the ribbon grain makes it a really good stabilizer. You can make your own, so you could use a bias binding method, but instead of cutting your fabric on the bias, you could cut it on the straight grain so you get a straight piece. You can use a gross grain ribbon, you can use any kind of tailor's stay tape. You need something that's comfortable against your skin. This is nice and soft, and you pin the tape to the top of the trousers, but try not to stretch the trouser at the same time. So try and keep the twill on quite a high tension and let the trouser fabric relax behind, because if you stretch it, you'll make the waist bigger and then you'll have eliminated some of that fitting that you've done. When you get to the end, keep your zip folded back and just give yourself a little bit of handling tape at the end. You're going to put this through the machine on 2 passes. The first pass will be on this lower edge of the tape and it acts as a kind of understitching, and then the trouser will easily roll to the inside, and then we can add a second row of stitching on the inside. So let me show you the first line first. So it's all pinned on, a little bit each side, and we're going to stitch nice and close to the edge of the twill tape. That's the edge that's lower down towards the trouser, not on the raw edge. I actually found keeping my zipper foot on from when I put the zip on quite useful, because I can really see how close to the edge I'm getting. I'm going very slow for me, because I really want it to be on the edge of the twill tape, and with the zipper foot I can see that edge. Essentially this twill tape acts as a kind of facing, and because it's quite narrow you might just want to do a little bit of fabric handling and take out some of these seam allowance pieces, especially if you've got quite a big dart. Just take some of that bulk out. it will help the twill to turn over on the second pass. Okay, so it should fold down nice and easily because that row of stitching is the guide. And pin the waist down. At the end, you want this to be comfortable. You don't want this top of the zip rubbing you, so you can fold it in. Cut it off. And it makes a smooth finish at the zip end. On this pass, you're going to sew really close to this raw edge. And you might have to just put a little bit of tension under your fabric so that you don't get ripples on the right side. It works like a little facing. It looks really neat and it was super easy to do. I forgot to, but you might want to put a label in the back here, especially because I've put darts in the front and the back, so it's a bit trickier to see which is the front and the back. All we've got to do is hem our trousers. You can do this in a few ways. You can do a straight leg, you can do a little split cuff at the bottom. I actually have a pair that have little zips in the bottom. You could use exposed zips if you wanted something a little bit different, or you could put two little invisible zips in. I've made mine quite narrow when I did the fitting, so I want to be able to get my foot through and put my boots on, so I've got little zips on the bottom of one of my pairs. Today we're just going to simply hem the bottoms of the trousers. How you do it is up to you. I've hemmed my trousers with a single turn. I have just put a little kick in there just because I tapered the bottoms of my trousers for a better leg fitting, and I just needed a little bit more room to get my foot through. So you can choose to hem yours however you want. I thought we'd take a look at the styling of these trousers. So here they are finished. I'm wearing it with my Harvest Rainbow top. It's really nice with a plain solid, picking out one of those colours. I've got a nice straight side seam, my invisible zip, back darts. I added a couple of front darts, but there's plenty of ease for sitting. I did all of the crotch fitting in another video, so you can check that if you want to change yours up a little bit. But I thought I would show you some of the other things that you could wear with these simple trousers. This is the top from the pattern. This is in a jersey, so you can see it's just really simple. It's got a neck finish, shoulders, grown on sleeves. It's one of those tops that you can just make up really, really quickly. Sometimes I even put a back seam down the back and then it uses even less fabric. So you could add the top from the pattern if you're doing a wardrobe builder. If you want something more floaty and tunic shaped, especially if you're sitting down a lot for work, this is my hack of the Minerva Victoria blouse with the pleated front, short sleeves and the high-low hem hack that I will do in another video. Or you can take these trousers through to winter with a little sweater. So this is sort of a 1950s black sweater. I don't wear black very often, but I do wear this jumper quite a lot. Really nice with a coat, boots, woolly jumper. So you can take these trousers from a summer poplin through to a thicker fabric for winter. Or you can take it in a much slimmer fit. So this is the Megan Nielsen Rowan bodysuit. So this has got the snaps on the bottom, so you can get a much slimmer fit and go really casual. You can pop trainers on the bottom and get a really modern look from a really well-fitting pair of trousers. This pattern is a really fabulous wardrobe builder pattern, so you can use the same fabric, the linen and cotton, to make the skirt if you're not a trouser wearer. You can use different fabrics for the top, so you can use a challis, something drapey, a crepe. You can make sheer ones out of georgette and wear a camisole underneath. I've also even used jersey for this pattern and just sized down a little bit so that I could get a t-shirt version as well. The little throw over top, that looks really great in a chalet, anything with a bit of swing and drape, but you can mix up the fabrics here, so you can decide if you want solid colour skirt or bottom and solid colour skirt or tops, or whether you want to introduce some prints. It's a really great way of getting quite a cohesive wardrobe if you're first learning to sew. All the patterns are really easy to do on here, and they hardly use any fabric. All of them use very, very small amounts. So if you're learning and you're going to lose some fabric in your learning process, it's a great place to start. If you think you'd be interested in this pattern and you want to explore it a little bit as a wardrobe builder, then it works really well with the Minerva fabric guide. So you can check this out on our website. The fabric guide shows lots of different fabrics, 70 different base cloths, and how those cloths work and their characteristics. So for just this simple pair of trousers, you could choose lots of different fabrics. Let's take a little quick look. I'm just flicking through my fabric guide to see which fabrics I could use for this pattern. It's got a little piece of fabric in there that I can handle, and this is Bengaline, and that would work brilliantly for this pattern because it's got a little bit of stretch, so you could cut your pieces so that the stretch goes across your hips and waist. Let's have a look what else I can find to make this pattern. Okay, you could use a broadcloth. Sometimes those are printed, so you could make pattern trousers. It's slightly lighter, so you'd get a summer pair of these slim fitting trousers. You could choose a canvas, which is going to be thicker. This is printed sometimes, or sometimes you can just get a plain colour. You'll get a sort of utility pair. You can get a denim to make these trousers. Different weights will give you a different feel to your trousers, either summer or autumn. But if you don't like all the lumpy bumpy bits of the tops of jeans, then you can make this style and you'd get a jean leg fit at the bottom, but you wouldn't have all of that extra detail that sometimes makes your tops look not as sleek as they could be. You could use a gabardine if you've not used gabardine before. It's a really close weave fabric. It's got a little bit more drape in it, so this will make a sort of office pair of trousers or smart trousers, mostly in a solid colour. And a similar fabric to that is twill. So this is a hard wearing fabric. It's got a really close weave and it's opaque. This is a white one, so I suppose you're going to get a little bit of see-through on there, but you can get this in lots of solid colours and sometimes even in a print. So if you have the Minerva fabric guide, then you can really stretch your fabric choices for what you choose for each part of the pattern. Thank you very much for watching today. I know it was quite a simple sew along today, but I just think a pair of those trousers are a really useful thing to have in your wardrobe. Do call again for more sewing inspiration. We have sew alongs here, learn to sew videos, learn to draft your own pattern videos, lots of information on new pattern releases and fabric releases. All the inspiration you need is either at Minerva's YouTube channel or over on their Minerva feed on their website. If you've been making anything, we would love to see what you have made, so do make a free account with us, share your makes, and you can upload a photo and a little description because we love to see what everyone has been making. Do call again for more sewing content. See you soon.